Welcome to Simon's Trade Live Trading. I'm going to live broadcast day trading on Canadian and US markets for some selected stocks. But before that, I'd like to express that I'm not providing any recommendation to buy and sell any stocks or ETFs. I'm simply mentioning a few of those in this one, and these are the just observation I'm going to share with you. This content is strictly one man's opinion based on the charts and the perception of any given moment in time. I'm not advocating for any particular stock. I'm only voicing what I feel about the stocks, ETFs, or the markets. I strongly advise you to use this live stream or any of my recorded videos for educational purposes only. But in the meantime, I'd like to know your feedback, what you think about the format, content, or stock you'd like to see in future live stream session. You can use the chat window to input your feedback and ask questions about trading. I also mentioned my email address. You can send me an email if you wish with your comments. And with that, let's turn our attention to the markets. So currently, it seems to be a upbeat perception of the futures, up by over 200 points. I guess everyone is trying to be very positive what's going on, what may not happening with the virus. So some of the things I wanted to discuss, it looks like gold is up very nicely, and that's probably good for most of the gold and silver stocks. And if I look at other miners like Teck Resources and FM, they are also doing very nicely so far this morning. XIU, which seems to be flat in this morning, but XIU never really gives too much away what is happening, what is expected to happen right at the open, so don't really look at the futures on that one. In terms of oil is down, so SU, CNQ, and all the major oil and gas players are not really looking too bright at this moment, but I like to mention it to you, and this is my opinion only, that if a stock or a group of stocks happen to be beaten up at the morning right after open, it doesn't mean that during the day those are not providing good opportunities to jump in and take advantage of the moves. So don't chase. It's more like with patience, wait and see what makes sense to get involved, get into, and take your actions accordingly. So we have a couple more minutes, and I'm just gonna show some of the watch list I created over the weekend for particularly for today, and these are the ones for the Canadian market. You can see that I have various stocks here, some gold, some oil resource stocks, and these can be considered as the potential movers of the day. If I really wanted to mention it, there's not much happening with the wheat stocks, so they are pretty much flat, or they have the indication of opening to the downside. And that's about the major players. About the US markets, actually, I also broadcasting in my Twitter feed, which is at the handle is at Simon's Trade, and on my website. So I'm going to update my descriptions accordingly, so you can check out my Twitter handle and my website as well, with the recommendations or with the insights, I would say, because I am not recommending any of the stocks. I am simply providing my opinion and my take on things. And with that, let's switch back to my focus list, which you can see right in the window. I guess you can see it momentarily. So these are the ones I'm looking at, and I already got a notification, which probably left from Friday. Anyways, fun has started. ABX is opening up very nicely to the upside. Air Canada 1634 also very nicely to the upside. Seems to be, this is the line which is 1633.34 for the AC. This is a potential ceiling, at least for now. BRDP up very nicely, continues on with the very nice move happening in the past few trading sessions. Another gold stock moving higher. That's really, really cool. So let's wait until we have a little more clarity as to what's going on, because stock exchanges just have opened. So there's a lot of urgency for some traders to get in and get out. So some of the orders are just being filled. And once we pass a couple of first minutes of the trading, we have a little more clarity as to what's going on. But we can see it for sure that the gold stocks are doing really well. Okay. I believe that, you know, if I were to get involved with FM, I would be watching 1403 for FM. So let's focus on FM, because I think FM has a really good moment at this point in time. So right now it's 1405, above this red line 1403. So 1405, 1403, 1406. Yes, I had an alert on my other screen for FM, and FM is doing well. So at night it is at 11. 08, 07. So if it happens to fall below 1406, then I would be a little more cautious with this one. Yeah, not much happening right now. 09, so it's good. So recommendation was to get in around 1404, and right now it's 1409. So that's about 5-6 cents. Now it's about 4 cents. Okay, so still going good. Still going good. TSX is up by 75 points, so that's a positive thing. So it seems like FM is not really successful going above 1410. So for the time being, I would be watching that line, and I think 1409 is relatively large volume came in. So watch for that one. 1408 it seems like slowed down. So yeah, anything below 1404 probably would be a little more concern, or 1403 to get out. 1410 still holds 1410. Yeah, so this is the point. Yeah, actually there are a lot coming in at 1410. So either it's going to jump a little bit higher, or will come lower. Now it's at 1411, which is good. 1409. So probably was thinking of selling. If I had any holdings, I would be selling it for now. Yeah, it's 1407, 1406. Yeah, that was a bit of a toppy for me. A toppy means it started to running out of steam, and no, actually not. So 1412, 1410. So it's still good. It didn't really cross. And you know, this is what I'm trying to actually tell you and to myself as well, that especially because now we're about 5 minutes into the trading session. So as long as the red line stays above the blue one, I think, and I'm telling to myself that I should be still in the stock. And as long as it stays above it, I'm going to be in this one. So it's 1410. Okay, let's moving on to something else, because right now it seems like FM started to go leveling off. AC couldn't really handle the prior high. Yamana Gold is going very nicely to the upside. I would be watching if it falls below 760 for any potential entry point. XIO I would be interested in at 23. Not when it goes down to 23.94. Probably that line is more significant for XIO, at least for time being. VET seems to be going lower and lower and lower, so I wouldn't really entertain too much about that. And I would be exiting from FM because I wouldn't think that this is gonna go higher from this point on. So this is pretty much leveling off. And the same, no, actually Teck Resources seems to be leveling off a little bit. So for Teck Resources, I'm placing an alert at 42, 1542. Not much happening with MFC, surprisingly. So, but MFC, I would be interested in anything above 1840. I'm fully aware that, well, okay, actually, let's stay with MFC. MFC 1835, 1836 now. 1835 was a bit of a volume, came in. Right now fell below 1835, now it's 1834. So relatively speaking, this is a stock I would maybe watching, but I wouldn't really getting involved with. I'm considering placing an alert at 1387. That would give me probably a good 6 cents before they start hitting 1843, where 1843 was the opening for MFC. So moving on to something else. IMG going very, very nicely to the upside. HBM is also, FR is very nicely to the upside. FM started to fall below 40. Yeah, I'm placing an alert for 1410 for me to just keep checking what's going on with FM. ERF is to the downside. I think that actually I'm going to remove from my watch list because this is such a low volume that it makes no sense for me to keep an eye on it. FM started to go lower and lower. In case of FM, I think I'm going to put an alert for 1391. MFC actually hit 37, so yeah, that was just a high, so I'm going to have an alert again at 37 for MFC. FM, I think it's trying to turn around. Alert for 14 even. CNQ going lower. Okay, MFC seems to be acting to the upside. So let's go for MFC. MFC is 37. So I put an alert 35 to the downside, 30 to the upside. Tight range, but I need to actually see some action before having some sort of a good idea with this one. I'm trying to actually draw your attention to the line here at the lower pane, which is the 1 minute chart. That seems to be indicating that 1836 a line to watch for. And in the meantime, I can see that TSX, both the TSX and the US market started to drift to the downside. Okay, let's switch back to MFC. MFC hits 1638, which is great. So let's put alert for 35. Yeah, for 35 to the downside and 39 to the upside, which the reason why I'm putting alert for 39 because MFC already hit 38 and it has pretty good chance of hitting 38 again. But in the meantime, it seems like start to go lower, but we keep watching MFC. 35, 34. Yeah, liquidation going on. Yeah, anything below 34 is no good for me. I would be out from this one. OVV OVV doesn't really have a huge volume, but based on the chart, there's a likely chance that it may go higher. So have an alert for 14. Yes, and as I said before, FM is going higher. Good. So let's have an alert for this one. MFC is at 32, seem to be giving up all that quick gains. Tech resources started to retrace from the earlier high, and it is below at 1551, which was a large volume print for that stock. Yeah, it keeps going lower and lower. It seems to be giving up some of the gains it actually accumulated so far. MFC is going lower and lower. FM seems to be having issues with 14. It can't handle 14. As I said before, there's a large volume for 14, so I would probably staying away from that one or just watching it. AC seems to be going lower and lower. After hitting all that highs, there was a liquidation around 1630. Right now there's a slight chance that it may go above 1690, 1620. So let's think about that for a second. So if it happens to fall below 16, 17, then there should be a reason to get out. Otherwise, have an alert for 21. Air Canada 20, nice. I have an alert for 21, hitting 21, good. So this is the ups for both FM and AC. AC has a bit of an interest. Start to get closer to the green line. The significance of the green line, as you can see it on my chart, that if the red line, which is a signal line for me, goes above the blue line, that's a sell signal for the short term. If the red line goes above and stays above the green line, it's a longer term indication for the uptrend. Right now, it doesn't seem to actually materialize most likely because of this line, which is a 1622. That is where you can see this red dotted line, which was an exponential moving average on the 1 minute chart. So it didn't really do much about that one. And right now, AC is not necessarily the kind of stock you should be in. Switching back to ABX, ABX has come down, but right now it's getting close to this line, which is the green line at 37.33. Let's watch for that. Back to the AC, I would be watching for 1621. BLDP, I kind of forgot about that one, but it's still moving up very nicely. Let's place an alert for BLDP at 2880. BTO still higher, not so significantly, but I just don't like the way the chart looks. It's going to be a slow one, so let's have an alert for BTO at 28. And yeah, it's 28 at the moment. Actually, I'm placing these orders, these alerts. It seems to be hitting the lower markers, the lower alerts, which kind of tells me a possibility of there's some sort of a liquidation going on. And everybody currently on the stock market, they are trying to actually liquidate. But BLDP is an exception. So we had an alert at 2880. Now it's 28.85, so that's a good one to be in. So let's stay with BLDP for a second. Let's have an alert for 84 to the downside, alert 28.84 to the upside. I would say 89. Yeah, 89 sounds good. And let's see if actually that hits it. AC is going down. FM is pretty much froze at 13.99.98. OBV doesn't do much so far other than just going lower and lower, which is a very, very good sign if you were to keep an eye on this one. Because right now at 12.90, and the volume is showing a building up some positions for that stock. BLDP at 89, very nice. It's 94, exponentially good. So we were good with that one. So I'm placing an alert at 28.88, fully knowing that it can actually move really, really fast. So BLDP has almost 99, really good. Have alert for that probably at 94. Okay, let's consider getting out of BLDP. It came down so much that it doesn't make much sense to actually holding on to it. It's as I said before, some sort of a liquidation going on. When I'm looking at the XIU, it shows sideways moves, but the TSX chart currently shows that a bit of a downtrend, significant downtrend. Fairly similar to Dow Jones. Right now, this line seems to provide some support for the Dow Jones. For how long, I don't know. But if it happens to fall below this line, which is at 26,245, then it might be more reason to the downside. FM losing strength, and it is below 1390. So let's have an alert for 1390, and the reason for that is fairly simple. There was a very large volume came in at 1398, sorry, 89. And if the trend turns around, that might be an important line to watch for FM. So it hit 1390, 91. So technically speaking, this could be a buy here. Alert at 1389 because of the large volume, but as long as it stays above this level, this should be a good one. This all purely based on technicals and not necessarily representing my overall opinion about FM in general, because I think this is more part of a liquidation strategy going on for FM. Okay, 94, we're good with that one so far. Alert for 91, and to the upside 96. $91. Yeah, that's what I mentioned about my earlier statement, that it almost looks like it's part of the liquidation going on. So every single time when there's a healthy volume and healthy pop in the stock, that's when larger players will start selling, and this is what I've been seeing. So 1395 was a crucial line for FM to climb above. It didn't, and the stock decided to drift downward ever since. So at night it's 984. You know, I don't want to pat on the back, but this is what watching a particular stock is actually this helpful, how it behaves. And when you see that something is odd happening, then you should be considering maybe taking a step back and see how it's going on, what's going on. If I may draw your attention to this particular part of the chart I have here, The red line, which is an indicator line and a signal line, was for me, this is exactly the point at 1395 when FM decided to turn around and decided to drift back again to the lower end of the spectrum. It had FM found some footing at 1380 and 1984, but again, if the stock, if FM can't go above 1390 or just slightly 1991, that will be a further indication for me that the stock isn't healthy enough for any large move. And going back down again at 80.79. So this is a typical scenario when if you were to entertain, or if you can do shorting for a particular stock, FM would be a short candidate for your day trading activities. And again, it keeps going lower and lower and lower. 1372 right now. So it is falling below a certain level, and that is a significant move, and it has right around or another exponential moving average here, you can see, which is at 1373. It tries to actually go higher from that point, but right now it's wobbling. But there was some activity here, some buying came in at 1371, 72. So as long as it stays above that level, it is good. As long as you happen to buy closer to this level, like around here. I'm not recommending you to buy it, just theoretically speaking, that you need to keep your risk reward ratio as favorable for you as humanly possible. So the risk reward ratio, now there's a lot going on. So there's another huge volume came in at 1371, which could mean two things. Either the stock will go lower or going higher. Right now, it is at 1375, which means it jumped from that level, from the 71, 72, where a large buy came in. But again, it couldn't hold, and the more indication is that it's going lower, and this is actually in line with what I can see, because the FM currently it is at 1368. So when you watch, where certain activity is coming in and certain things are happening, this particular line, if I may draw your attention to it, there was a lot of activity, a lot of little dots, a lot of little prints you can see on the screen, and that's an indication for me that a lot of selling actually took place, and that may provide further pressure on the stock to go lower. But again, it's all of these are indications, nothing more than that. So let's look at some of the other players. Gold stocks are drifting to the downside. Before open, I mentioned that gold stocks are expected to open to the upside, and and so they did. Ever since they started to drift lower and lower, and I mentioned that the oil stocks expected to lower because of the lower price for oil, and this is actually happening. That's continuing on. So right now, if I want to say which ones are beating up stocks, I would say the oil stocks. CVE is one of the good oil companies. Good meaning that it has a good volume. I don't know how good the company is. I'm not really doing any kind of research into the company's financials or management. So when I mentioned a good company is because it has a really good chart pattern and it has a very large volume. Right now, there was a huge volume came into selling the stocks at 602. So right now we are at 593, which is a significant gap between where it is now and where the next potential ceiling can be found. So theoretically speaking, if I wanted to purchase CVE for any reason, I wouldn't, but let's suppose someone would, I would be watching how the volumes are coming in. So I would like to see larger chunks of volume, large volume picking up around this level, because that will be an indication for me that the larger players have some sort of an interest in the stock. And if I can see properly on this particular chart, if it happens to start climbing above 595, that would be a level I would be interested in buying this stock. So with a small volume, CVE started going higher. Right now it's 593. So the turnaround point was at 591, 592. Right now I have one penny above that level. So I would be maybe considering looking at this possibility, but I don't see that volume is helping the stock to go higher. So I like to actually see more volume coming for CVE to make sense for this stock to go higher. Let's turn back our attention to FM. So FM, on the other hand, is right now it's turning around. Had we stayed with FM, we would have seen how nicely it turns around from the 1363.64, and it is above a key level. So far this is looking good. Not sure if it's actually going to break through the green line, but there's a likely chance. So the setup is good for that. However, I can see two major exponential moving averages here, this line, which is at 76 and 80. So we need to watch especially for 1376 and 1380. So those are the levels I would be watching for FM. In the meantime, CV is at 591. So this is what I mentioned about there was no volume behind that little quick uptick. If I had a larger volumes at this level, I would have said, yeah, maybe this is a positive sign, but overall it doesn't look that much positive for this one. Another one to look at, MFC has been going sideways for a long time, so I'm thinking of maybe putting an alert for 1836. Yeah, 1836 looks good to me. AC, so ABX drifting down to the downside, seems to be the green line. Some sort of a ceiling to the stock for time being. There was a lot of activity around 37.19, 37.20. So right now we are 15 cents below, and if ABX happens to pick up some volume with the price to the upside, we may have a window to take part in the upswing. So right now 37.07, so this could be a positive one. Let's put an alert for 05. I'm placing an alert at 05, and let's see another one at 09. I don't really want to litter my screen with all kinds of alerts, but ABX fired up the alert at 37.09, so it seems like it's going to the upside. Alert at 11:10. Okay, and selling going on. Nope. So, but don't get discouraged. This is how it works. All the smart people, smart computers, they are right now maybe either liquidating larger positions or building up new ones using ABX. Right now, well, the chances are that actually liquidating, because the price of ABX right now is at 37.04. and 37.05 seems to be a ceiling for it. FM continuously to go lower, CVE 588, it's much lower, CNQ 2278 also to the downside. Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of activities right now. It's more like either sideways or in a liquidation mode. CNQ started going higher. Let's see, SU. Not yet, but maybe CNQ. Yeah, TSX started to go lower from the previous lows again. Let's see, S&P. Oh, definitely to the downside. It seems like, you know, this particular level has been violated by the current trend, and it is going lower. Yeah. Most definitely. I can see that it is going lower and lower. So S&P is going lower and lower. Let's see the Nasdaq for a quick second. It's up by a percent. It also seems to be swinging to the downside, which right now it is right at where it opened. If it happens to violate this line, which is about to 10,725, then chances are that the Nasdaq is moving to the downside. Right now it's actually fell below the 1% print. Yeah, it is going lower. What's going higher? Nothing. ABX is to the downside. AC is sideways, but it's more likely that downside momentum will continue on. BLDP is just going through the bottom. BTO going lower. CNQ. I'd like to place an alert for CNQ at 2275. CV lower. ELD is lower. FM is lower. And you know what? Let's look at the Canadian watch list, because as I said before, every day I'm producing after every trading day I'm producing a watch list for the next trading day, and these are the ones I'm putting into my Twitter, which I'm going to put the Twitter handle very shortly once I have a little bit of a time, and I placed the watch list on my website as well for you to actually feed off of. These are the thoughts I'm having about the potential movers for the next trading day. Again, these are not any kind of recommendation for you to follow. These are just observations from my perspective, which one has the better chance of going higher. So far almost 10% for STGO. I didn't know the company, but very nice move. FD again moved up very nicely, and I'm just going to actually change for a 5-day chart just to have a better view on things. So I recommended FD here at 2504, right now at 2705. So very nice move. Is one of those things actually you need to consider when you building up your watch list for the next trading day. What are the potential movers? Right now you can see that STGO has been going up very nicely day over day. So going back to this one was 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago, was at $2. Right now it's $2.96. So not a huge volume behind the stock, but you can see that there's a very good mover for the past couple of days. Right now it should be keeping this particular line, which is 295. The price print shows to me 296, so a touch above the key level I mentioned to you. So 296, that's a key level for STGO to watch. FD is not a fire department, it's something else. It has moved from $16 all the way to $27.35. I don't know how long FD is on my list, but it's a nice move so far. LI, probably it's a lithium. In the meantime, CNQ started moving higher. We'll get back to that as well. LI is moving up very nicely, so it's a little low. It is a little lower than it was before. Well, in the case of $2 stock, moving from 290 down to 250, it is a lot of a move, but nonetheless, it is right now above 260, which it's an important level to watch. ITP was on my list and very nicely up to the upside. I recommended it when it was somewhere around here, 1272, so it is a good mover. Right now it's above by almost $1.90, so it's not too bad, not too bad. EDR, that was not a nice move so far today. TUD, I really don't know what TUD is for, but it's being on my watch list for 2 days now, and this is the second day when it moves up very nicely. FO Food, HBM, and if I may stop for a quick second, this one, as you can see, HBM had a nice support at 480. So if I were to day trade HBM, that would have been the entry I was looking for. And this is the one I wanted to mention. I didn't get to it, about the risk reward ratio, how much you risk and how much is your reward. So if your risk is you're risking, let's say your risk reward ratio is, let's say, 1 to 2, it means that you're risking $1 to make $2. So when your risk reward ratio is, let's say, 3 to 1, it means that you are risking $3 to make $1. So if I ask you the theoretical question, which one is better? When you're risking $2 to make, let's say, $3 to make $1, or risking $1 to make $3. So obviously the 1 to 3 ratio is better for you. So this is what happened with HBM. Based on the chart, the 5-day chart, you can see there was a potential support at 480, and it came in, and that's where the smart money, so to speak, jumped in and started buying HBM. FVI, very nice move. FR, another good one, and another favorite of mine. I had a discussion with one of my followers, and we were discussing a lot about this particular company as well. It's a health company, and it seems like it's doing really well. Back in 2 days ago, it was moving around the $3. Right now it's $3.36. So good move so far. Hopefully for the people along the stock, the momentum will continues on. VZLA, a little bit to the downside, not too much, but what really concerns me with this particular stock is the low volume. PGM, also not a huge volume player. It's only 400,000 shares exchanged hands, so I'm not really crazy about trading large volume $2 stocks, but it's okay. Teck Resources, very nicely up. This was one of the recommendations I had in my watch list, and as I mentioned in my earlier, that there are certain key levels you need to watch, and in the case of Teck Resources, 1489, 1490 was the key level to watch. Low volume stock PYR up again. London Mining nicely higher. SVM nicely higher. Gold a little bit lower. Another gold company. So these are the watch lists. These are the winners so far. So let's look at the other one, the losers. MTY right now hitting some sort of a resistance here. So if I were to interested in shorting the stock, this is the line I would be trying to start shorting and see how this works out for the stock. OGC is a similar case, and I think it's OceanaGold. So surprisingly, this gold company didn't really take part in the upswing. But on the other hand, when you see an opportunity like this, and 1319, 1321 was definitely a price point and point to enter. Another good use of my watch list, if you load it into a trading system, if you can, either manually or automatically, or some sort of import function, you can use the sorting, ascending and descending order. And right now the time is 10:12 Eastern, and based on what I can see right now, OGC was an excellent candidate for getting into around 320, 321. And this is what happened based on the chart, because if you look at to this side here, on a couple of days ago, there were a lot of resistance to break through this level. Eventually it did, but there was a lot of activity around this level. So right now it's 328, going even higher. So yeah, the stock overall is lower by over 3%, but that doesn't mean that from day trading perspective this is a totally lost case, because it isn't. Low volume, I wouldn't care about these ones. Nothing. WFT, another good example. WFT, this particular line, which is 53.20, 53.50, this is where there was a very significant support for the stock, and ever since up very nicely. The only trouble I'm having with the WFT is the low volume, so it isn't necessarily the kind of volume I'm thinking of getting into. So let's just do that and remove the low volume candidates. Anything under this level is I'm not interested in. So let's see what we have left. So these are the ones I have left, and we can see that ABX continues to be weak. OSK is good, weak. Yamana is going lower. The gold ETF is lower and lower. BLDP, yeah. So BLDP, beautiful chart. Not educational purposes section. And if I may look at this particular line, so 2791 was the congregation of several moving averages. That was the line where the stock found some support, and ever since it started going higher, right now it's 2803. In the process of going higher, there's another exponential moving average on the 5-day chart started serving as a ceiling. So technically speaking, the healthy range for BLDP is between 2790 and 2805. Why? Because of between the two moving averages there wasn't a whole lot of resistance. There was not a whole lot of lines for the computer systems to look at and start and considering getting out of the stocks. So right now BLDP is doing relatively well, but what really always bothered me with BLDP is the huge spread between the bid and the ask, and most of the time didn't really give me that warm and fuzzy feeling that it really makes sense to get in. Right now there are 4 cents in between the bids and the asks, and it changes really fast. So that's the trouble I'm having with BLDP. XIU on the other hand is not too bad, and it is above 2309. Precisely, it's right now it's 24, and 23.99. 23.99 was a large volume for the stock to came in, so that's a positive for the ETF, that it probably will continue to go higher. Okay, let's have an alert for XIU. My recommendation is to have an alert at 23.99 and 24.01. And with that, we just move on to another one to look at. ATD, nice, very nice move so far. And it has a healthy spread, surprisingly. It is building some position around 46.05, 46.06, and potential ceiling at 46.15. Right now it's 46.09, so it is slightly to the upside. Has passed some of the relative resistance levels so far. So let's stay with ATD for a while. So it is 46.08. Slow down, definitely slow down. You need some of the other stocks which are not really moving so rapidly. If you happen to look at how SPY looks like when it moves during the daytime, during intraday, it is crazy. It is really for computers to trade that one, because definitely doesn't really do much for the humans to try to beat the computers. XIU in the meantime is up by a penny, so right now it's 24.01, and placing the alert, which seems to be a counterintuitive for you, but in a case like when you're watching multiple stocks, the best way to have it is to have alerts for these stocks, whether you have an intention of purchasing them or you are already holding them on your account. My recommendation to you is to use alerts to notify you when a certain price levels hit by the stock. Like in this case, I know for a fact that XIU is in a slight uptrend. I have an alert to the downside and I have an alert to the upside, and if it happens to hit a certain level, I would know, okay, so what should I do with the XIU? But I don't have to keep watching the stock. I don't have to glue my eyes to the particular stock. With the case of ATD, it has been going sideways for about 20 minutes, and this is the kind of thing I need to watch for. MFC start moving higher. The weed stock is going very nicely to the upside. So I had weed on my radar, on my watch list, and when I recommended on my watch list, it closed at 23.51. Right now it's 24.68, and it actually shows a very healthy chart pattern to the upside. Huge volume at 24.50. Right now it's 16 cents above it. Nothing particular for nothing particular for the wheat stocks, because when I looked at the ACB and other stocks, they weren't really moving that nicer. So at least for now, it seems like wheat is definitely the leader of the cannabis stocks, and if the others will follow suit, that could be a positive uplift for APHA and ACB. And if I can stop for a second, I'd like to mention one observations with you. If you think that, let's say, the gold stocks are going higher, it doesn't mean that all the gold price is going higher. It doesn't mean that all the gold stocks are going to go higher. It only means that the indication is there that the gold stocks will follow the price of gold. This morning you saw that ABX very nicely jumped in the morning. Ever since, it's kind of came down a little bit, but there were others like OGC which didn't follow, didn't have the same kind of an uplift at the open. And ever since it started going higher, because it tries to actually catch up with the others, but it isn't necessarily a certainty that everything, all the gold stocks, all the wheat stocks, all the oil stocks are going to move higher in the same degree, in tandem as everybody else in the same group. Chances are that they will, but they are not necessarily. While I was doing this little speech about wheat is going up nicely higher. It is at 24.70. It hit the day's high, which was 24.74. So far seems to be very, very nice. There are quite a few levels. The wheat stock, the wheat ticker, has managed to go above, and namely 24.30, 24.50, and 24.66. So as long as weed stays above 24.65, this is a positive sign for the stock. Okay, so weed is good, HQU is good, well is doing well. Let's look at the US watch list. So let's go with the negative movers so far. You see that there are certain ones, like this particular ticker is probably the biggest pain point for those who happen to have this since last trading. They're down by almost 40%. If you care to look at the trend lines here, the past 2 days, it has the beautiful trend, and everything was kind of suggesting that the trend will continue on. Well, not. It actually fell really, really bad. Now it's 39% down. TDU down by almost 20%. And this is what happens usually, what can happen with the $2 stocks, that they are just happen to fall through the crack, and they can just go from 240 down to 180 in really, really quickly. This is also down. WAFU 12%. So if you look at the trend here in the past 2 days, is like to the uptrend, is very, very nicely, but there's no guarantee that will continue on. This one also was I was watching it a couple of days ago because of these very, very nice moves. Again, no guarantee whatsoever, and so far doesn't seem to turn around much. It happens to seems to be finding the 315 as a support, which it has, but I will be watching 320 for this particular one, because that was a key level for this stock to go higher. So let's have an alert for this particular puppy. Make it 321, just for kicks. This keeps going lower and lower. This is the one I'm trying to actually mention it to everybody, that just staying away from this particular stock is probably the best thing to do. Let's just resize the columns. Okay. And I'm going to add another chart to this one. Yes. So let's see how this works out. Yeah, OVV, beautiful at 952. Yeah, let's watch this one. So 950 is on this particular chart is definitely a level to watch. So if it happens to go above 950, 951, that would be a good line, and that will be an important for the stock to climb above. So far there's no indication that it will continue on. So right now I think the OVV seems to be going lower. Trying with 950 again. You can see that this particular line, which is 952, it has a strong relation to this particular line, which was a previous resistance. So more often than not, these are the levels you need to watch. So when I'm saying you need to watch, is not like it is guaranteed, it is for certain that the stock is not going higher than 952 in this case. It's just an indication. So if you happen to jump on board around 940 and you see that there was a chart formation at 950 and 952 more precisely in this case, it means that there's a possibility of some sort of a resistance to kick in. And if you happen to hold a stock, just keep holding it until you see the confirmation that the stock is not likely to go higher than where that particular line is, where that particular resistance is. So at this point it seems like it's still dancing around 948, 949. So some sort of the pressure is actually happening at that level again, and this is the key points for you to see and watch for. So let's go back to what. So we were at 320. So key level, let me just write it down that we were at OVV, just for me to remember which one to jump back. So OVV. So what I said about that is that 320, 321 is where there's a huge volume came in, and I'm placing an alert. So let's see 322. If it happens to go for 322 for what, that will be a line to watch for. And going back to OVV, ever since it hit 3952, it keeps going lower and lower and lower. So let's have an alert again for OVV, and that will be at 953 in case it happens to go higher. I remember Zixi. Zixi was a huge move in the past, and it is a nice mover today. It is down by almost 2%, but it doesn't mean that this is not a good candidate for day trading, because of the moves actually it produced around here. So that was around 2750-ish. I'm not even looking at the lowest of the day, and right now it's over 28. Of course, if I'm looking at this particular line, which is at 2807, that's a potential for something to happen. Again, potential, but it is above key levels like 2761. MFC started going higher, which is a good one. And in my web broker, I'm just gonna check for MFC. XIU started going higher again, so that's also a good one. Yeah, so what I can see about the MFC is that it happens to find the upside. MFC had a low point of 1825, and ever since it keeps going higher and higher. Let's switch back to Watt. I've been mentioning Watt as a good one because it is above this particular 321, 322, and it is moving higher. If I maximize this view, I would keep an eye on 327 for Watt. And you can have multiple alerts to the upside as well. You can have 1 penny higher than the last highest price was to see if the stock continues to go higher. And you can have, or you must have, I would say you must have alerts to the downside too, because you need to know if the stock happens to go lower or not. Yep, I was right about the MFC. It's now up at 40. Great. OVV 48, so it's getting close to that level. ZIXI, let's see the spread for ZIXI, 83.90. So this is the one I don't really like, that 27.83, 27.90. It's 7 cents spread. It's ridiculously too much to my taste. ADI, it's all the same thing. It's huge spread. I wouldn't even entertain anything about that. It's not my style. You have to see what style actually fits you. 76.87. No way in hell that I would be interested in this one. MATX, 10 cents gap. That's a huge spread. I wouldn't even consider anything with that. MFC is 41. So let's look at the volume I have here. So this is particular one, BLU, is lower to the downside. MTI, we looked at that before. It started to go higher, and the spread 78, 87, out of my comfort zone. MEG, it seems like having some issues with this particular red line. It serves more like a resistance, so that's a no for me. OVV, it's both listed in the US and the Canadian market, so that's why OVV is here. Probably it is a no right now. VII start to go higher. If it happens to go above 310, that could be a 3. Let's have an alert for 311. Oh, wrong screen. VET. That's not too shabby. Actually, VE, it's hit 311. Alert for VET as well. Yeah, so let's have an alert to the downside for VE, which is 309. And to the upside, 312. VET, yeah, I told you that I'd like to see 575 for this one. I think I already have alert for that. PSK, another oil stock. Yeah, look at this one. This is nice. 825 was a prior support on the 5-day chart. 825 when they started turning around. There are way too many volumes around 828, so let's have an alert for 828. And moving on from PSK. Yeah, today is not a good day for oil stocks. CPG is down again. OGC. So let's go back to OGC. We talked about OGC before. 321. 328. Right now it's hitting at 328. Yeah, it's probably not the best for that. Okay, moving on to NG, lower, CGRB, lower, WCP, lower, FRU is lower. So these are the ones definitely to the downside. Most of them are oil stocks. So nothing really I see at this point very, very entertaining, with the exception of SU. And entertaining is not really the true sense of the word entertaining. Based on the chart, you can see that this particular line was the support successfully in the past. So let's see, once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So a very strong indication that as long as it stays above this particular line, the stock will probably continue to go higher. It's 2175, which is good. 2169, even better. So let's look at let's get rid of the stocks under 100,000, because right now it should be above 100,000. Yep. 67 for this. Yeah, let's look at the spread for TD. TD is not too bad in terms of spread. All right, so let me tweak a little things here and there, and I'll continue the live streaming shortly.